again right away. Starting to the bottom left, using the same color that Life used in the last game, the StarTale Zerg. He is very, very.
StarTale, curious.
What his opponent is going to do in this game.
Yeah. As am I. He's like looking at him right now. He's like, not so sure.
Top right, we have his opponent though. And he was able to take down Life. This is the one time who was able to take down the last remaining Zerg that is in the round of 4 of the GSL Code S. Can he win against Curious? We'll find out. He's pretty...
MVP, kid!
Certainly is keen on it. No...
I love how he rolled up the sleeve on one arm.
Yeah. You know, there's no 11-11. There's no even 4 barracks, no gas first, nothing like that. He is playing pretty normal builds. He's not trying to do anything out of the box. And even last game when he did a pretty all-in build, he was able to somehow fall back. He made 5 missile turrets when he saw the mutas. He saved his Hellions as well. A lot of people would not have been able to deal with that pressure. He also made his missile turrets so well spaced that when the first few mutas came when they had that small wave, it was really hard to find an angle of attack. They were spread out so much that he couldn't like go in and try to pick off a tech lab before the Marines were out. Really nicely done.
At this point, one of the things that we are most likely going to see, of course, if he doesn't decide for an early on attack, is Infestor play into Broodlords later on. We sometimes see Ultilis. That's usually the ZVT matches that you see on this map where the Zerg player loses. No, seriously, the thing really on Cloud Kingdom is, of course, you can't play Ultralisks too. Most players on the map like this will go for Broodlord composition. If you go Ultralisk, you have to pick your battles so carefully. And so many Zerg players have died on Cloud Kingdom because they were attacking into a siege top position for the Terran player. Couldn't really use all of the Ultras. Most of them just suffered too much damage before they actually engaged into the battle. Yeah. It's really difficult depending on how your opponent is positioned. So most of the time, Broodlords are the better choice. Not always, there are exceptions. Right now we have no gas being taken for Curious, but we have the double refinery for his opponent.
He's just been going to some sort of Hellion play from here. Wants to put that pressure on. Free spread is really important on this map, especially if you want to take, taking a 4th base on this map as Zerg, you have 2 different choices depending on the situation you find yourself with. And creep spread needs to be put in both directions, otherwise the Terran is really mobile on this map. A lot of choke points and cliffs in the middle of the map, so you can oftentimes run down to the one to the north of that 4th base with a group of Marines and fall back to siege tanks on that high ground.
The factory, of course, now has been started with the first 100 gas that the Terran player has, and on the other hand, we have the Queens now building, and I'm talking about Queen number 3 and number 4. So gas is still being taken by Curious, but he's relying on a higher queen count to defend here and to just push the creep a little bit more forward.
Yeah, really wants to get that creep out. It's very important. The gas is coming out here pretty quickly. He's making it actually at his natural, so it can be seen by Hellion pressure later on. Not too big of a deal. It's just a stylistic choice trying to make it there.
Question, of course, remains what exactly MVP is going to MVP Keen is going to do now. This time he's going for the star block.
Yeah, Banshee play looks like it.
Will most likely get a few Banshees out and playing this a little bit more standard.
He could go for mech and go for that late game, adding the Banshees in, the Ravens as well. That's something that's kind of trending right now. This Zergling pressure is going to be shut down with good micro. He wants to get a Marine. He's going to get a Scout.
He's going to get into the main base.
And actually, he may get... No, he can only get one.
He actually might have been able to take it down if he just focused on one Marine, but he didn't. He sees the star put in the tech lab, which is really important to him. So at least he has the information that he wanted. He's getting the third base. Speed is already being started with the first 100 gas. He's not using the same strategy that Life used, or the same build where you invest the first 100 gas into this faster tech so that you have a bit of a faster hit squad, depending on what you are going to do, if you go for Spire or for the infestation pit. But the creep spread so far is decent. The Hellions weren't able to force him back.
He's making a dropship, which is really interesting. Now he can harass the main base and the third base with those Hellions. Banshee Cloak, though, is on the way, so he's got that plan. This is kind of weird, actually, to get Cloak and a Medivac like that.
Yeah, I've never really seen this timing, but on the other hand, he can now Medivac into his opponent's base. And oh, damn.
This is the worst puzzle scenario, not the ramp! Why the ramp?
He tries to block it. He tried to block it, but he was a little bit too late, and now Lost Harvesters 4, which is not too
It could have been worse, but it's not over yet.
Exactly, that's the problem. It's not over yet. Now the Banshee is being built, more Harvesters are dying, and this is a huge problem for Curious. 8 Harvesters already dead, and he might well lose more. The Queen's trying to out here, another shot goes off. No. 9 it is. 9 Harvesters killed, and the Banshee will arrive, of course, with Cloak, while the Medivac can now elevate more Hellions into the main base, unknown to Curious.
Yeah. He doesn't know yet. Curious he's in a position now where if he spreads his units well, he can defend all 3 different locations that he may face this attack at.
The Queens are now on the low ground, and this is exactly what you want.
Problem. Exactly. You pick up in the Medivac now, the Queens are going to take forever to get back in there. Then when the Queens go into the main, that's when the Banshees show up. So this is so frustrating.
He doesn't actually run back with the Zerglings. I thought he saw it a little bit earlier, but he must have missed it. Yeah. And now he's losing more Harvesters. The Hellions trying to get into the spot. The Zerglings finally there for the rescue, but the Medivac brings to safety. In total, 14 Harvesters lost. And Curious, oh, them nice. Picks up the Medivac, really important here, and all those Hellions will die. The Banshee is moving in.
Yeah, it doesn't have any kills yet. Now it's starting to get a few. This is an insane amount of pressure by Keen.
There were Spore Crawlers being built earlier, but where are they? We only have the Overseer here for the detection. One Spore Crawler is at the natural. He takes down a Queen, and the Banshee is still alive. 4 kills so far. Has to retreat here, but not before 10. Oh, dies.
Now they're
19 in total.
He's going to mech with this as well. He's now going up to 3 factories. He's got the armory coming up as well. He is going to need to make a turn or 2 most likely for the Spire. But, you know, the damage here has been done. He's also kept the Zerg off of him. And he's actually going to get a few more kills likely with this Banshee. There's no Queen nearby.
He also knows that there's a Spire. He has the scouting information too, and what Curious originally wanted to do is get additional gas at the third base, but this is something that he just could not pull off. So right now, it really looks like he's in such a tough spot. His third and his main base are under constant attack. He needs those mirrorless, but of course with the scouting information that Keen has, he's building the Thor. That's the first thing he does. This is great for Keen.
Yeah, and Life, he's only got 4 mutas, and I think he's trying to debate whether he wants to do, because now he can make mutas a little bit later if he wants to, and just kind of use these 4 to force some more missile turrets down. He's got to be very careful with a low number of mutas like this. He's going to lose them. Oh, that was so close.
How many hits does he kill?
I'm actually trying to find out. I think so.
3?
Yeah, well, it has 3 now, but it definitely had 1 at the moment. Oh, and the Thor is going to take both of those mutas out.
Yes. 2 mutas are dead. He's losing more than... He's actually losing everything more than us.
Yeah.
1 survives. But Hellions are once more at the natural. They cluster up. He's losing more and more. 32 in total have been killed. And it's not over.
Right now the worker count is 57 to 52, but there's no real army out.
The Zerglings to the top right, trying to bust through. All these SCVs are repairing. There are no Banelings, now Hellions are guarding this wall. This is horrible. Horrible for Curious.
That was insanely rough there, what we just witnessed. I mean, he's stuck now in a position where there's no way, absolutely none, for Life to stop Keen from mining from that third base. And so he will be able to build the mech composition that he wants to control the map later on, be able to just walk across it and kill it. You know, a lot of times Terran players will, when they're going mech, just turtle on 3 bases and max out. And how can he stop him?
Well, the thing is, we are still in a position now where at least Curious he knows what's going on. If he can defend right now, it's not like he lost the game. We've seen Life in a really good position and then Keen taking the game with a nice comeback. So Curious is still on roughly even supply with his opponent. Of course, he's not in a great spot here, and he is struggling quite a bit. He lost so many Harvesters already that his economy would have been so much better. He doesn't have this bank, and now Keen moves out. What Curious has to hope for is for Keen just making a few mistakes that he can capitalize on.
Yeah, he really does. And he also has to basically take a few risks. Like, sending these mutas out like this is a risk, and it does not pay off.
Not at all. He walks right into the Thor damage, and 2 mutas die immediately. A third one severely injured.
Had he controlled those better, you know, you could argue it's not a risk, but he was doing so many other things at the same time.
He builds Corruptors now so that he can pressure the Banshees, and the Corruptors, of course, having a lot more armor, better against the Thors. They can sustain the damage a bit more. One Thor is caught a little bit off guard here. He can trap him.
This is the type of thing that you have to do to catch up when you're behind.
This is what you need. Just your opponent missing something, maybe a bad rallied unit, something like this. Just taking down a really, really expensive unit and slowly but steadily just getting a bit ahead of your opponent, at least catching up. And this is what Curious currently tries. He wants a 4th base, has to kill his own tumor because it was blocking the hatch.
Yeah, that's always one of the most frustrating things in Zerg Barrier you have to deal with. +2 now on the way for the mech units. A little bit further behind than you would have expected, but he's got 1-1, so it's not like he just has +1. He's getting 2-2 now, adding more Banshees. Banshee count now up to 4. As you said, the Corruptors are going to be really good against that if they don't bunch up and die to Thor shots.
The tech is a problem. The Infestation Pit has started very, very late here against this composition. And again, with Roaches, you will be able to do a fairly job in the mid-game, but at some point you need a Broodlord transition.
Doesn't have a defense setup at his 3rd base for this Ling attack, though. He needs to send the Hellions back.
This is just Curious trying to buy a lot of time, as much time as possible. The Lings run in, but yeah, there is not a lot. There's actually nothing. Those SCVs trying to do to help the siege tank out, but the siege tank is dying, and now the Roaches are in a good spot. The expansion is actually probably gonna burn down, but Keen is moving out. He's taking down the 4th.
Yeah, he's gonna trade this, but he needs 3 bases to support this type of composition. The Roaches are they're still not dead.
There's no hive tech, he can't get Broodlords, he's trying something, he's taking down the Banshees, but most of the units on the low ground are already dead for Curious. He's at 170 supply though, he's remaxing heavily with Roaches, and I actually think that he might not have enough here. He lost his 3rd.
The siege tanks here are so useful, but they don't have +2 yet.
To the top right, we have a lot of Roaches dying to the siege up tanks. They have a hard time breaking through this. I mean, the army supply right now is in favor of Curious, but can he really make this work? This is so close, the base dies.
Yeah, Hatch is down, he's targeting down these Roaches really, really well. Corruption on the Thors again. This is so close.
If Curious had the tech that he would normally have without losing so many drones, if he already had Hive and was able to get a few Broodlords out, I feel his defense would have just completely been impeccable with the army that Keen currently controls.
Banshees are a problem here. Where's the Overseer?
Takes on another, but nearly takes it down, but there's the cloak a little bit too fast. 14 Roaches are left.
Thors and these siege tanks are all he's got. 6 more Roaches on the way.
He needs to control his army. Why is he leaving all those Corruptors and taking damage here?
And this is the moment where he could grab onto this small Terran army and snatch it for free. I guess he doesn't... Well, I was going to say he doesn't know what's behind those tanks, but actually he does. He has creep. The tanks are still on creep.
He's trying to run past and catch those guys off guard, but yep, they're already siege up, and nicely good spot. They can at least take down the siege tanks. Oh, 1, 2, 3, and 4.
But he will get them all.
He will get them all, and once again, he's ahead in supply.
Yeah.
But his problem is definitely the tech.
Yeah, the Mule Man is a problem as well. He's got 3 mining Terran bases with insane income, whereas the worker count, yeah, he's got 64 drones out on the map, but he needs his 4th base really badly. He needs the tech.
There are nearly no mineral patches left in the main base, and the natural is still mining. But yes, a 3rd base is definitely needed. A 4th would also be nice. And he has to rely on Roaches now. He's going for the Burrow upgrade. More and more Thors are being built, and the upgrades for Keen are becoming a big problem. He's on 2-2.
And I really like the Burrow choice, but he needs to make sure every fight he takes for the next probably a minute and a half is very cost efficient, and that's why I like his choice to, even though his Roaches have been spotted here, he's not going to try to run in there and attack, or even try to trade them for workers. He doesn't know what's over there. He's not going to try it.
The third attack upgrade has now been started for Keen. He really wants to get a huge advantage in the upgrades and just these mech upgrades in general. And having such a heavily upgraded mech army is always very tough to face. The Banshees are taking down the Harvesters. The Corruptors are forced to the left, as is the Overseer.
Yep, they're trying to make their way over there. He will actually take it out. Fairly simple there. He's still got that spy lead. He's droning up. He's trying to find an opening, but he never overcommits to the roaches. That's the most important part, because those are going to be the army units he uses to kill the siege tanks and Thors. Yeah, he's going to have support units like Infestors and probably Broodlords at some point in there. He could go for Ultras as well, but he's gonna want these roaches to be in there.
He gets the armor upgrades for the air units. He really wants to help those Corruptors survive against the Thor damage. Now we have him just poking at the gas, which is really smart, but on the same time we have now a third armor upgrade being researched for Keen. He wants to wait for a completely maxed out army for good upgrades, and then he will move out. And the problem for Keen is the more roaches he builds, the more tanks is Keen going to produce. In the main base we now have slowly and steadily this transition into the Infestors themselves, but still no hive tech. He just can't afford all these things. Well, actually at this point he could. He has worked up a bank.
Yep. And
there it is. Hive tech.
The situation that MVP Keen finds himself in now, though, of course, he's got the extra bases. But he needs more gas. He's using all of his production facilities, but the roaches are coming in for a counterattack. He has to turn around again.
He's run by attacks. Exactly what Curious needs. Yes, the planet, he has to lift it, and he does. How much is he committing to this attack? He snipes a tank and turns away. Takes a supply depot, but the left side being a nice burrow. The scan has been used. Keen is on top of this game now. He realized immediately what's going on.
This game is actually so close.
It's great. It's a great last match for this team match. And once again, a few
just up to the top left, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Those few roaches.
Yeah, and it's still clean up the Hellions. The worker count now 50 SCVs to 46 drones. He did lose a lot there.
Keen did not realize that his Hellions were actually attacked on the left side. He lost every single one of them. He could have escaped, but he didn't realize it. Those roaches that Curious sent into the third base of Keen definitely did their job. Not only did they do a little bit of damage, but at the same time they distracted Keen. This multitasking is just great. And now the hive tech is done. Greater Spire has been started. And look at his gas, 3,000. He can buy enough time for Broodlords.
That's what he's trying to do here with these roaches, being very aggressive, taking all sorts of fights. Now coming over to the third base to pick off a siege tank.
He's everywhere.
Definitely worth the multitask of both these players is spot on right now. 13 more roaches coming out. There's a lot of bank for Curious to spend here. And he's going to do it.
Especially the gas is so important. And he has mining to the left side. He's moving in again. He sees that the siege tanks are not sieged up. And this is the spot that you're hoping for. But still, a lot of roaches die. This mech army is just so heavily upgraded that it's always dangerous for Curious to actually engage. The third attack upgrade is already done, and armor will follow in just a few seconds.
He's even coming over here to pick off more SCVs. This time he kind of botched it a little bit.
Yeah, the whole position is not working to his favor.
This army is so competition and it has 3-3 upgrades right now. The roaches are on 1-1. That is a big problem here.
He might not have enough time. Curious that his Keen is pressuring and the Greater Spire is not done yet.
This is razor thin right now. He's going to get the hatch. The drones are on their way out. The Hellions do not target.
He sacks the base. He knows that he cannot pull it off. 11 Broodlords.
Oh my god, that is so many Broodlords.
He knows it. He scans. He scans. He knows what's coming.
Can he get through there? It's going to be so tough.
Halfway done.
The Infestors are going to be able to buy time. I don't think he can kill the Broodlords. Maybe he should just walk out.
The Queens have to go to the high ground. We need transfuses here as well. He needs potential transfuses. The Broodlords are about to be completed. And Keen is falling back.
Walks out. I think this is the best choice. Just walk out. Get that secret missile upgrade is what he's doing right now.
Could he get? Can he fungal? He has Infestors. Can he intercept this army? He wants to. He wants to cut it off. There's the scan. Great scan by Keen.
A great scan indeed. He scares the Infestors away. This is so critical.
Oh,
this is so positional what both players are doing here. I think the Thors will be able to get home.
The Banshee takes down not a single Infestor. Wow, that was so close. So close dying. And now the Broodlords are on their way. Not a single Viking here. He's relying on Seeker missiles, on Thors, on a couple of Ravens. Oh my god.
I don't know
if Curious able to win this game.
I don't know how many I don't know how many Brood Lords is going to move to the side. You know, how much spreading is he going to do with those broods, because that may determine this fight.
Guys, this is Neighbor. You should see the two benches. I'm so sorry that we don't have shots of the StarTale and MVP bench. Both are so... no one is talking. Everyone is just looking at the screen. And now once more the Blue Flame Hellions. How many Harvesters did he kill? 93 drones have been killed in this game. 93.
And that actually puts the worker count at 46 to 34 drones. That's all he's got. He's got to make something work here. It's all about the spreading on the Broodlords. If he does not spread them, I don't think he's going to stand a chance.
11 Thors. 11 Thors against 10 Broodlords.
Here we go. The fight is on. The Raven is a bit late to the party. The Roach is on the ground, distracting Thors a little bit. Oh, Secret Missile's going up!
So much damage!
So
no Queens for Transfuses! We still have 5 Broodlords! 8 Thors are left!
The Broodlings are staying strong here.
Oh my god!
Does he have enough?
There are no Transfuse for the Queens! He could have been able to do a little bit more, but right now it might be enough! He might just spin up! He moves it! Oh my god! 50 supply for Keen, I cannot believe it.
There's only 24 SCVs left. He doesn't have enough money to produce anything else. He cannot beat the Zerg army. There's no way. It cannot be done.
Curious is going to take it. He has 130 supply now against 48. For a second it looked like the Thors would be enough to take down the Broodlords. So few of them actually survived. Now this lone Hellion at the left, at the bottom of the map is taking down more Harvesters. He will probably kill more than 100 drones over the course of the game, but it just doesn't matter. He cannot survive here. The Planetary, but the Planetary is there. But another Thor dies.
Another one goes down. He's got 2 Thors and 3 Hellions versus 2 Broodlords, 17 Roaches, 15 Infestors. This game is going to end. 2 Siege Tanks on the way, but those Siege Tanks will never imagine killing a Broodlord. It's just not possible.
24 supply left, 18. I cannot believe Curious won this.
Believe it, man. Believe.
Keen played well, Curious played better, even though the early game was dominated by the MVP Terran. In the end, it is Curious. He never gave up. And that's the GG! StarTale has done it! They take down MVP, the StarTale bench. Every single player is standing. Keen cannot believe that this just happened. He's like, why did I lose? Everyone jumped up at the StarTale bench. It was crazy.
What an insane Team League match we just watched. Went to the final game and an extremely close one at that. StarTale takes the win, but it was not easy. And you know what? There's a smile on the MVP coach's face because he knows that Keen played extremely well today. You know, I wasn't sure he was going to be the last player.
Look at Curious.
Showing some emotionalities out of the booth, but I wasn't sure Keen was going to be the last player. Now I know why. That's all I have to say about that. I mean,
huh?
Now I know why he was the last player.
Yeah. When those Hellions ran into the main base of Curious and when the Banshees started to take down Harvesters too, I had no hopes for Curious for a second. And seriously, they are going to kill me at some day. This thing is really starting to piss me off.
The last break, I actually knocked mine on the floor.
That was like the 3rd time today that this thing crushed on me. I'm like, I'm going to throw it in the crowd the next time.
Well, I don't know,
I'm going to kill someone.
Well, you got to design a new stage.
Nah, I'm just going to take it away the next time.
Well, that was an exciting Team League match.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, a 5-4 in this game. I personally thought that StarTale would win, but I thought MVP. They just show why they are always so great at the Team League every single time. And we are having a look at the match results today and have a quick look at how exactly this took place. Things started off very, very well for StarTale with Bomber with a first win against SC. Sniper was not able to take down Parting, so suddenly we had a 3-1 situation for StarTale, but then Tails happened.
Yeah, Tails did happen, man. He actually was able to get the wins that his team needed him to get. He was able to snatch 2 basically cheesy victories where he cannon rushed in one game, the other game 4-gated, and added even a 5th gateway.
Yep.
And of course, we're going to have our winners interview now with the coach and the MVP, who I believe in this case would be Curious.
Yeah, I should probably be Curious. I mean, Parting took more wins, took down DRG, might be him, but this last game was a little bit crazy. So, actually no, either Parting or Curious, one of the two.
What's your feel? I say Curious.
Well, usually we have the last player that wins the game being the MVP, so
No,
I
I'm
guess
just asking your opinion though. Like, which one would you give if you had to be the choice? Like, if you had to choose which one you thought was the MVP?
Parting. Sniper and DRG, I would definitely say Parting. The last game was very intense, but I feel when it comes down, both of these Zergs are just so strong. I feel the player who deserved it a little bit more is Parting, even though the last game was pretty insane. But yeah, as usual, the last player winning the match is MVP, so we have Curious.
Curious.
And it was a very emotional game. I mean, that was a nail biter.
That was insane.
It's just this added suspense with the situation. Well, it just says that he's actually saying that the players who played before him did a really good job, and he thinks that they deserve the MVP today and not him.
If ironic, we just talked about that.
That's close though. I mean, that was a crazy series. We didn't see like an amazing performance by one player taking down 3 or 4 opponents. So it's pretty close who's the MVP. I mean, Parting is just my personal pick, but Curious played well. And him coming back into this was really something.
오늘 MVP를 받을 뻔했을 선수라고도 말할 수 있을 것 같거든요. 원희삭, 이승현 선수 두 선수에게 한마디를 한다면?
사실 뭐 앞에 두 친구들이 되게 잘해줘가지고 저 같은 경우는 그냥 나가서 그냥 한번 마무리한 건데.
He
그래도 뭐 제가
actually thinks that especially Parting and Life did a good job today.
제가 그 두 친구보다 위인 것 같네요.
그러게요. 자,
But he received the MVP, so he personally thinks that he tops those two players today just by the smallest of margins.
추천하고 싶은데 그때 WCS를 가요.
아이고. 아니에요? 네, 아니네요. 추천할 수 있겠네요.
He's searching for the words here.
원래는 그때 가는 건
He actually thought that he
지금 뭐 안 가고 출전하게 됐으니까. 뭐 이번에는 한번 재선에서 한번 끝내보도록 하겠습니다.
He will be able to play against IM.
다음 경기도 기대하도록 할게요. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
네, 김강복 감독님과도 이야기를 해보겠습니다.
He thought he had a WCS scheduling conflict, but the schedule was changed, so he actually does have the ability to play. So he can play in both WCS and in the GSTL match.
Yeah, so guys, if you don't know about it, next week we have Code S on Wednesday or not on Thursday. That's a schedule change that Wolf is referring to right now. It's also mentioned on the GOMTV website, of course.
사실 스타테일이 이길 것이다라고 예상을 했었는데 생각만큼 그렇게 쉽지 않았던 경기였던 것 같아요. 이유가 뭘까요?
일단 그 MVP 팀이 그렇게 쉽게 질 만한 팀이 아니고요. 그리고 저희도
I expected the MVP to be a strong opponent for us and maybe even go to the finals.
네,
or the final match, excuse me.
얘기했지만 LG IM 이번 시즌에
He prepared really well for all the 5 players, and it really showed. I mean, he definitely had something planned for everybody. Really nice strategies chosen here.
MVP가 아니죠. LG IM의 강동훈 감독님에게 또 한마디 해주신다면요?
지금 IM 같은 경우가 제가 생각하기에 저희 팀하고 IM이 분위기가 제일 좋은 것 같아요. 팀 분위기가. 그래서 아마 힘든 승부가 될 것 같고.
StarTale and IM are the top teams this season. It's going to be a really tough match, and I think that a lot of people, if not everyone, would agree.
네, 알겠습니다. 엄청나게 재밌는 경기 기대하겠습니다.
He said it's basically it's up to Youngwa why they got here, so they're going to prepare for Youngwa, and if they can prepare for Youngwa, he thinks they'll win.
We have 5 snipers for Youngwa, and then suddenly one of the other IM players comes out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's right, that guy. I don't even remember him."
They beat Youngwa. They just stand up and cheer and start like their celebrations and stuff. They think they won the
team celebration in the middle of the studio, and IM is asking, "What's going on? Hey guys, the rest of us still here."
MVP is like. We're going to take a look at the schedule for the rest of the GSTL so you guys can see who's playing who and when. So, of course, next Friday we will have FX Open versus TSL. The following Saturday, or actually it's going to be a little bit later, we will have LGIM against StarTale. That's going to be on October 27th.
That's going to be a great match.
That is going to be the one to watch for sure. Then later on, even into November, we'll have Fnatic against Prime in that loser match, and then Slayers versus MVP on the other side.
And this is it for the day. So a really interesting team match that we had between StarTale and MVP. In the end, we have StarTale succeeding and winning. And yeah, the games today were great.
Yeah.
Next week, of course, also we have Code A, we have Code S, and we have GSTL. Here's the schedule once again. There was the schedule change that we mentioned earlier. Keep that in mind if you want to watch Code S live. It's also about Code A.
Yeah. And here's just, of course, a bunch of information about what's going to be going on down there in the second round of Code A. See who can get to the third round, to maybe have that shot at Code S, or who's going to fall into the up and down matches.
The team kill, especially between Creator and Bjorn, of course, really interesting. And also we have MC up against Alive. This is also going to be a really great match.
Yeah. And of course, if you guys want to watch the Group Hop show, make sure to tune into that. Pretty fun show, especially if you're into K-pop, as I know probably a decent amount of you guys are who watch. I've heard that is the case. A lot of tweets and posts and some things really strange people send to me, but I don't want to know if you haven't. Check out the show if you haven't yet, I guess, for those people.
Okay, this is it for the day, guys. I hope that you enjoyed the show. Definitely make sure that you support the players in the team and at them on Twitter. You can add the two of us as well at Calder and at Proxywolf. The StarTale team is at Team StarTale, and their players are actually just StarTale _ and then the player name. So if you have a favorite today, make sure to send them a tweet and congratulate them for the matches today. We will be back with Code A on Tuesday. See you soon. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.
We're about